Giving responsibly is an idea focused on trying to guide people to find organizations to work with to do charitable donations, be it goods or volunteer hours, as opposed to them just going out and kind of wanting to do it themselves. Because these organizations typically have worked through how not to be toxic charities and have created systems that they then use to form and educate people to make them more responsible in terms of how they engage communities and how they work to make a better community.
That being mindful of where that's going to make sure that it's making the best possible effect is the most important piece. So definitely knowing where you are giving, how that's going to be beneficial for the person.
If you just hand someone a bunch of something, you could potentially make them vulnerable or a target for somebody else who may want it from them.
Giving responsibly, this is really important when there's a lot of what I call toxic charity existent. Charity that doesn't really help, it creates dependency and creates a sense of entitlement.
I think it tends to keep it cleaner and tidier when things are going through an organization, a building, and there's not a lot of excess being thrown out there.
I've seen people leave boxes of clothing. I've seen people drop off food that then doesn't get consumed and then draws rats and makes it even more dangerous for the people who are living on the streets there.
Donating to a group of individuals without the organization, and what happens is people will maybe sell those things for money or maybe trade for drugs or some other unintended consequence that we aren't hoping for. What we would hope is that it would go somewhere, then be handed out, and people would only get as much as they need for that time. They can go back for more.
Part of being in the homeless population is that mobility. Someone can only carry so much. And so they're going to leave stuff behind because they have no other option. If they can come into a building and get something, they have other options.
It's unintended consequences. They think they're doing something good, but sometimes it can actually be something that's not good. And it's learning how to do the good.
It's really important to work as a team, collectively as a community, to identify where this need is and how it can be done appropriately so that all the organizations are able to help in the most effective way.
When an organization receives a dollar versus a dollar being handed to somebody who's on the streets, that dollar is going to be thoughtfully discerned as to what is it that someone needs, and then those needs will be met, versus the dollar being handed to someone who's on the streets who might decide, I want to use that dollar for something that may not be in my best interest.
When people are out there kind of doing their own thing, it really detracts away from that idea of community. I believe when people come together as a show of force, as a team in one particular area, that lends itself more to that idea of community. And I think that's really what we're talking about, is the betterment of this community.